Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's talk about in this video a potential for a C3.AI short squeeze. It's been a question on everybody's mind because the percent of shares right now that are shorted is very high. It has been consistently stayed high. Now, with this information, C3.AI has also came down in price with a decently strong correction, down about 7 to 8% in the last market close. We've seen this with some of the other AI stocks, especially with Nvidia as a top AI stock leader, kind of falling, and we see this domino effect that has been trickling to some of the other AI stocks that we've been talking about. We're talking about Palantir, PLTR, C3.AI. We see here, especially with PLTR meeting their expectations, having a bit of a sell-off, even with their $1 billion buyback plan. So what's really happening in the market? And of course, today on Thursday, we do have CPI data that should be released that will give us an indication on inflation, which can have a large effect on the market. So lots of information to cover in today's video. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button for the algorithm, subscribe for daily videos, and make sure you watch the whole thing. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor, so take everything I say with a grain of salt and do your own research before making an investment decision. I'm just a guy on YouTube creating discussion with you guys. Now let's pop it up on here. If we show you guys right now, C3.AI at the last market close is down about 8%. Now remember, C3.AI had this nice climb. We saw this nice climb up here to kind of about the 40s. We saw this just about a week ago, coming down, testing support right here, and really falling more here into the 32.87. Now, with their current kind of volume and market cap coming down underneath 4 billion now, that really leads me to what happened to Nvidia during the last market close. And if we pull up Nvidia, you can see right here, again, down about 4.7, nearly 5%. Lots of kind of correction in sell-offs coming into the markets, and we see this repeatedly with PLTR that just recently beat or actually met their earnings, and they met their predictions that the analysts were predicting, and came down here from basically 20 bucks when they had a lot of confidence coming in, down to about this 15, losing support at about that $16, $17 price target. So what's happening in the AR market, especially with PLTR down about 10%, and like I said, going back to C3.AI for you guys, C3.AI down about 8 to 9%. Now, if you look right here, a lot of people are focusing on C3.AI. Why? With the potential of a short squeeze, because their short percent of the flow right now is at 32%. Now, this actually has decreased a little bit when it was at 35% with the current shares that are basically in the flow at 96 million. 30 million of those shares are currently shorted, and with the price going down, you do have people taking some sell-off and trying to see if there is a cool down that's happening within the actual AI industry. And that leads me here to an article that was by the Motley Fool that was posted that I think is interesting, and even their key opinion on C3.AI specifically. So they talk about C3.AI and specifically these other AI stocks like we mentioned, Nvidia, Palantir, and of course C3.AI, but we have some of the top analysts that are suggesting probably, or could there be evidence of an AI stock bubble. Now, with this being said, you do have all these stock bubbles that are always being related to the 1999 dot-com boom, when you had many tech stocks that really exploded in price, and then all of a sudden a few days later they came crumbling down because the valuations were just way too high to really support the true business and the actual revenue and growth and profitability margins behind these companies. Now, what we're seeing here for these AI stocks is, yes, they have had these very large increases, and we've seen this with all of the other stocks that we have been talking about. However, you do have other people that are saying that, hey, this AI is actually a massive $800 billion opportunity that is now on the doorstep from the tech sector for the next decade. And yes, you do kind of have a correction, possibly a little bit of cool off, and that could be good. Actually waiting for these stocks to stabilize a little bit, but could there actually be more, especially of a rally coming into the future? And especially with the market's inflation report that predictors and expert analysts are predicting that this will report possibly a spark and a rally in the stock market. Now, we do have here Tom Lee, who says that they could expect a sizable rally in the stock market following the Thursday release of the July CPI report. Now, the consensus does estimate that the core CPI is to be around 0.22%, and this will undershoot possibly here, but what they're specifically looking at is those inflation metrics. And what those inflation metrics should be is at the federal target is at about that inflation target of 2%. Now, if the data scientist team estimates that inflation will undershoot to just 0.15%, this would represent an annualized rate of 1.8%. So if CPI metrics are looking good, inflation numbers, if they are coming down, and we see this on the CPI report, we could see a rally, people taking more of a confidence into buying and pushing more of that bullish potential among some of these other stocks. Now, especially with C3.AI that is heavily shorted here, and with people that are not really completely confident about its potential, and say C3.AI potentially is an outlier and really only has a lot of trend behind it due to its ticker symbol AI, which is a really popular ticker symbol that will gain a lot of traction just due to the stock, basically saying that they have had some flat growth. And I won't disagree on that we have seen revenues that have been really kind of flat, and the valuation is really trading at a high premium compared to the revenue and the growth that we're seeing within the company. Now, this does not necessarily always mean it could be a bad thing, but one key thing to note is C3.AI does have its upcoming quarter earnings. Those are going to be posted here on August 30th with an estimated earnings per share of negative 0.17 cents, or negative 17 cents, excuse me, with that gap estimate of negative 59 cents. So if we basically put all of these pieces of the puzzle together, looking at C3.AI down about 8 to 9% of the day, decreasing in price, a little bit of a sell-off here. Could the AI stock bubble be cooling off like we've seen with Nvidia and Palantir? And we combine that with a high short interest of 32% that we've seen right here, and especially with that short interest that consistently is staying higher and is among one of the highest shorted stocks within the AI stock industry, and combine that potentially with good CPI metrics that could come out today, then I think we could possibly have a catalyst, or there could probably be, especially with earnings, that's going to be a big thing, that could possibly cause an increase in price, and that could cause a lot of these shorts right here at that 32%, that could cost them possibly to cover their shorts and to basically try to get out before they lose some money, kind of like we've seen with some of the other what made short squeezes really famous, like GameStop and AMC. So it's something to keep in mind. Of course, this takes many dots to all end up in a line, but the opportunity, I think, is out there for anything to happen. And of course, it's not a guarantee. And I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. That's the whole point of the stock market. But we'll really be keeping a close eye on C3.AI, Palantir, and Nvidia, keeping you guys up to date on everything that will be happening here in the future. And also, we'll be kind of reporting what's going to be happening with these CPI metrics that will be released. If you made it to the end of the video, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out. Take care and have a great day.